Hi, and thanks for listening to Total Access and Impact. Total Access and Impact is sponsored by Rental Kharma, where good renters deserve good credit. Check it out at rentalkharma.com, and that's spelled Kharma.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Total Access and Impact. Today is February 19th, 2024, and welcome to your hosts, Wendy Massengale and Cullen Canazares. We are going to be talking about something called Buy Here, Pay Here car dealers, okay, or auto lots or auto dealers, okay? And by the time this episode is done, I want that salt shaker on your table to be empty, because I want you to sort of find a little cut and pour it on there and let it burn, okay? Because when this episode is over, I want you to, whenever you see Buy Here, Pay Here, no credit, no problem, anything, remember, you're never, ever going to go there to buy a car, okay? And we're going to tell you in this episode, you already know the end, the message, don't go there to buy a car. But why, Cullen? Why? Why, Wendy? Why can't I go there? They got a nice shiny car that says $14,000. That's not that bad, right? Can't be bad. Well, not unless you want financial suicide or financial reckoning, or you're visiting gethomeless.com sometime soon. You know? So those are the things that we're going to unveil. And then at the end of this, if you still think you ought to go there, just call my cell phone. I'll go there with you, okay? And we'll just do a retake on this and make sure you get it right. All right, folks? So this is fun. It is fun because we make the pain, we make comedy out of the pain so that we learn not to make that mistake, okay? Maybe I'm channeling some John Oliver at the moment. I think that maybe is what it is. Cool. So we're going to talk about never getting in their trap. We're also going to unveil some of the dirty little secrets about the Buy Here, Pay Here space, and go from there. So what is a Buy Here, Pay Here auto dealer? Okay, it is everywhere in America. I think there's a few places that outlawed them, thankfully, but it's a used car lot in your town where the sign out front says Buy Here, Pay Here, no credit, no problem. Sometimes they don't even advertise it like that, but you'll go in there and they will actually be the lender of the car they're selling you, okay? They're not using a local community credit union. They're not using Wells Fargo Dealer Services, nothing like that. It's not getting financing from a manufacturer. These are all used cars. Most often they're 4 or 5 years old and older, okay? And these are cars that are being originally purchased at the car auction. If you live in a small town, you've probably never seen a car auction anywhere near you. If you live in a bigger city, pretty much every city in America has an auto auction. And it is the place where cars go to find a new life, okay? And where cars come from in that scenario is, think of the city and county, okay? They have a fleet of vehicles and they replace them every 4 or 5 years. What do they do with those vehicles? They send them to the auto auction, and then you go down there and people buy them. That's why you see somebody driving by in what looks like a police car sometimes, and you're like, doesn't look like a cop to me. But I actually bought a car there years ago at an auto auction, and mine was actually an old RTD. In Denver, it's the light rail. As RTD, it's the bus system. And they had a Dodge Durango, and all it had was, like, you could tell it had like a number on the side, but you take that off, it looked perfectly fine, and it got a great deal on it. But the auto auction itself, they get their vehicles from there. They get them from trade-ins. So, like, if people trade in a car at a dealership, and if the dealer doesn't want the car, doesn't think they're going to turn around and sell it quickly, they'll send it down to the auto auction to liquidate it. Banks and credit unions also use the auto auctions, and that whenever they have a car come back on a repossession, they're not a car dealer. They don't go down to the Honda place and say, hey, will you buy this car we repoed? They just send it to the auto auction, and then that's where it ends up. And a lot of the people that end up at the auto auction are these small used car dealers, okay? And they're in there bidding on these cars to go put them on their lot, okay? The problem with the auto auction process is you don't get to do thorough mechanical investigations of the vehicles, okay? They let you go in and turn them on at a certain time in the morning. Then you can kick the tires, open them up, and see what it looks like. But you're not going to get to drive it around the block and take it for a test drive. They don't do that. So they're kind of rolling the dice, but they also get the cars really cheap. They end up getting, what something, if it was in perfect condition, maybe it books out at, say, a $10,000 Kelley Blue Book value. They'll end up getting it for, say, $3,000 or $4,000. Okay. And if it, say, needs some tires or needs a tune up or whatever, they may or may not go and do those things. It's hard to say. There's no rules that they have to. They just come back and they put it on the lot, give it a bath, put a sign on there for sale, put a price on it, and see what they can get out of it. So that's where they get the vehicles from. Okay. Then when they get people to come in there, they use that phrase "no credit, no problem," because 1 out of 5 Americans doesn't have a credit score. Yep. Hard to believe, Wendy. We see this. We've seen this for years, right? It's a very true stat. And what's crazy, Wendy, who are the people that don't have a credit score?
Honestly, it's you more see like younger people, obviously, because they've not started building their credit yet. And then also people who like older, who haven't had anything for a while. Like if they had they used to have a house payment or a car loan and things like that, but they haven't used credit in, 7-10 years, they may not have a credit score anymore. So they're back to being a ghost again.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of those people get to Rental Kharma to add rent to their credit report. So if you're a ghost, that's a super fast way to, we call it credit ghost. That's what the car dealers call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means you don't have a credit score. It doesn't mean you're bad. It means you have no debt, which is great. And all you need is something positive on your credit report. So you go add 2-3 years of rent on there, you'll end up with a 650, 700 credit score in days.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't ever need to go to the no credit, no problem store. Okay.
Yeah.
You can go to the rest where everybody else goes and get a good deal. As we tell you in another episode of how to buy a car with no down payment, listen to that episode because it tells you exactly the steps to do that. So you never visit the pitfall of this buy here, pay here dealer. Okay. But yeah, it's anybody across the board. And it's like you said, all ages, all, boys and girls and, people of all backgrounds it affects. And it doesn't mean that there's anything negative. It's just you don't have any. It means you don't have anything negative or you don't have any debt. You just don't have anything positive on your credit report.
Yeah.
So that's how they get a lot of people to come in there because what has happened is let's say Sally saw the Toyota commercial and there was a red Celica going on sale. It said no money down, $200 a month. She goes over to the Toyota stores all excited because she's like, I can go get this car. I can afford it. And then she walks in and they say, sorry, you don't have a credit score. They don't have a loan for her. So through their system, so that she basically leaves quickly because they kick her out because she can't get a loan. And then she's driving down the street. She sees a sign that says no credit, no problem. And she's like, that sounds familiar. I think I just got told that that's my problem, right? And they pull right in and then the gates are open and you're about to end up into a very sharky situation. So that's how people end up there, and that's what it is. Okay. One of the dirty little secrets to this is that when you buy a car at a buy here, pay here dealer, and they are the lender, which when I say they, the one person that owns this dealership who has 50 cars is now all of a sudden a bank. Okay. They don't report your payments to the credit bureau.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. Some people call it the catch-22 of credit. If you don't have it, you can't get it. And you're thinking, well, I just paid I'm going to go pay $15,000 for a car. I should get credit now. I'm doing. Nope. They're not going to report it. One, they don't even meet the credit bureau's minimum requirements for size of lender to be able to report. And two, they don't have any incentive to. Because if you don't have credit, when you need to buy a car again, you're going to come back to me, right? Because I got you that car the first time. So that's their, the biggest dirty little secret that they have is that. And it just really keeps you in a captive, shark-infested environment that sucks money from you that you can't even imagine the amounts. I mean, a $20,000 vehicle. What was the math we did in the other episode, Wendy? It was a $30,000 car at 26% versus 6%.
Yeah, and I want to say there was like $38,000 of interest.
Yeah, so it was a $68,000 car.
Yeah, that's 2 cars,
Yeah.
not just one.
whereas if you completely avoid, and you can fall into that with them, they have some cars that are 30,000 at the buy here pay here. Most of them are in the 20 grand and less range, but even a $20,000 car with 20,000 in interest, you're spending 40,000 for this thing, because the guy that's selling it to you is going to say, well, because you have no credit, we have to charge a higher interest rate, right? And they get away with saying it's 22%, and that's how you're end up paying so much for it. So, Wendy, it's my understanding that the buy here, pay here auto dealers have the highest repossession rates by far in the auto industry space.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, for
So,
sure.
Tell me why is that? So give me the why.
Why they are repossessed so often is just because, well, one, because their primary business model is for people who have little to no credit, and so they're, and again, back to them being predators and things like that. But just imagine if, like, say you go to a buy here, pay here car dealership and you buy a car. Now, again, whether or not this car is mechanically sound or not, that doesn't really matter to the car dealership because they put you on a car. So say you drive drive around for a couple weeks, and then, the exhaust falls off. Yes, that happens. Or the battery doesn't work, or it genuinely won't start. You're not quite sure why, and you don't have the money to take it to a mechanic yet. Well, if you can't get to work, imagine this, you can't get paid. Well, then if you can't get paid, guess what? You also can't pay your car payment. So within like 2 to 3 days, or about 3 days.
But my credit union will give me, at 30-day late, I just get a like $20 late fee, and they don't even like send me even a worrisome letter until it's like 2 or 3 months late.
Yeah, because they actually care about you and your finances and your financial health and well-being. And the guy down the corner, he just he cares about his bottom dollar. So, but no, whenever
in 3 days after missing the payment, they're gonna try and repo the car. They're not even gonna send me a letter.
No,
the letter
will just turn it off.
The letter won't get there that fast in the post office.
Nope.
So there's technology that can turn the car off remotely.
It's called an immobilizer chip.
And I've never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, and so pretty much they can turn it off, a car off. What they do is they hook it up to the electrical system in the car, and in the office they can essentially turn a switch that will just turn off the car. Wherever, they may have it set to turn off in the middle of the night. They may have it set to turn off, the next time it shuts down. Like if you go to the grocery store, the kids' school to go pick them up, then you go outside to the parking lot to go turn on your car, and well, it doesn't start. Well, it's not necessarily it's a mechanical issue. It's because they have that immobilizer chip that's just made the car not turn off. Now, they say, well, we give you plenty of warning that your bill is due. Yes, by that same chip in your car going beep, beep, beep every couple minutes on the due date of the bill. Just as a nice, psychological torture device, as a reminder to, please come down and pay your bill. But no, if you don't actually go in and rectify the bill, if you can't, or if the car is not able to be fixed, then they'll just come and pick up the car. They have every legal ability to come onto your property and repossess the car in as little as 3 days.
Wow.
And then even though you don't have that car anymore, you still technically owe them for the car, even though you no longer have it. So you're now paying a car bill for a car you don't own anymore, and you still need to get a ride to work.
Wow. I'm going to guess that these guys don't even bother hiring a tow truck. They probably just have an extra set of keys to the car in their office. They go down there and they flip the switch on this immobilizer, get right in the car and drive it back to their lot. They don't even worry about spending $150 for the tow truck.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, well, it's off here and it's at 123 Main Street. Come on, boys, let's go.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Oh yeah, they probably turn it off conveniently, like in the grocery store parking lot.
yeah. So whenever they say like no credit, no problem, that means
Yeah,
like no credit, huge problem,
yeah.
especially if
If
you
you
have
live
to
out in
go
the
to one of these
country,
places.
if you live out in the country on some remote road where the people own, you know, they protect themselves, so to speak,
Hmm.
or the dogs are there, they'll wait until you're out in town and then probably turn it off there.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's kind of it's awful. It's just absolutely awful because and with when it actually comes to the repossession rates of these vehicles, because these businesses they don't actually have to report to the credit bureaus.
Yeah.
There's no real clear statistics as to how many like of these cars get repossessed, but it's estimated that 60% of them do. Which 60% of a
Holy
yeah,
cow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
60% get repossessed. And
Credit
it's not.
unions are like 2%.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it's all about your business model, baby. But no, it's awful. It is absolutely
Oh
awful.
my God. And what
Yeah.
really burns me to death on this, Wendy, is that when you go to the buy here, pay here place, a lot of the people that go there have $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a down payment, or
Mhm.
they figured out how to scrape it up, and that guy will get every penny out of them that they can. And the reality then is they'll say the car has a sticker price of 10 grand and he bought it for 4 at the auction,
Mhm.
and you put $2,000 down on the car, $500 a month monthly payment. If you happen to make 4 payments on it and the $2,000 down, you just paid for the entire cost of that car to the person from the auction.
Exactly.
And then he's going to come back and get it again and again. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and
Okay,
there's
so
and they can also sell that like and they'll rinse and repeat on that car. My husband, he works as a detailer and there was one car lot that they used to clean for and he saw the same maroon Ford Explorer over and over and over again. He said about 6 or 7 times that he can remember cleaning up the exact same car. And the guys had a joke at the shop like, "Oh, it's back. Oh, it's
oh my,
back."
yeah, because he's not going to send it to the auto auction. Why? Because he's not going to go buy it again himself. He already has it.
The immobilizer chip has already been in it and tested, tried and true, and it works, obviously. It has
Oh
6 or 7
my.
times.
So, um, side note here, if any of our listeners have ever gone through this experience, please send us a voice note with your story, okay? We
Mhm.
want to share, we want to open up this dirty little secret so everybody understands this and knows not to go there. It's one of the I think it's the biggest pitfall in your financial life you can make, but also one that you can keep making over and over again, you know? So
Mhm.
send us a voice memo. You want to send it, just send it to me. Send it to Cullen, Cullen, at rentalkarma.com. And if we get your voice memo, we listen to it, we play it on the show for others to listen and learn from. We will also donate $100 to Total Access and Impact that will go to helping a family in subsidized housing get credit ready by adding their rent payments and getting them through credit coaching so that literally within weeks they're ready to exit the public housing system. And we'll do that on your behalf. So please share those stories. We'll play them all. If they're all great, we're going to play them all. We'll have a what do they call it when you watch the movies on Netflix or the shows? You binge them.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
have a
we'll binge
binge.
them all.
We'll binge them all. We'll have an episode of just binging the stories, okay? And if we'll beat it into our heads that we're never going to do this, all right?
Mhm.
We're also going to have another episode coming up, which is going to be about um, you think you don't have any other choice, okay? We're going to work through plans that can give you another choice, okay? There's always something else you can do. You don't have to, okay?
Mhm.
And we'll make sure that you don't fall into this trap, okay? It's no credit is a huge problem. The dealer says no credit, no problem. No. Total access, we say no credit, huge problem. Is
Yeah,
you are limiting yourself access to the things that are very much affordable to you if you know how to go down the path to attaining it. And
absolutely.
95% of it I think is just habits. It's a habit changing thing or a mindset thing that you understand differently what it is that you can and cannot do,
Mhm.
and you go from there and you learn a heck of a lot. What is there any other things to put on this icing on this cake, Wendy, that you want to add in, or are we really kind of everybody's getting the point here?
Sorry, I hate to be that guy, but I'm about to leave a bad taste in your
No,
mouth
it's
with
good.
some information about this, just to kind of let you know the how serious and how real this is of a situation this is. For example, like between 2021 and 2022, there were, and these again are the only the repossessions that they were able to track, again because buy here pay here dealerships don't report to credit, but there were on average between 2021 and 22, 5,418 repossessions a day. That's 100 cars a state a day in repossession. That is just absolutely insane. And I'm sure a large majority of these are from buy here, pay here's. But one of the main things that is a huge issue with buy here, pay here lots as well is these cars, it may be pretty, it may have a snappy paint job and, clean looking interior, but a lot of these cars do not have any form of a warranty, none whatsoever. And so if the car does break down at the end of the street and the car was sold to you as is, you do not have a legal leg to stand on when it comes
No.
to going it back to the dealership and be like, oh, this car's a piece of crap. You shouldn't have bought it then.
Yeah.
No, that's
No,
not very helpful. So you're
yeah.
getting yourself into a hole, and you're not building credit or auto loan history to help you in the future. So just whatever you can do, just stay away from it, because again, 60% of the cars on that lot on average are going to be repossessed, and you're going to be just falling down into a tar pit and not be able to crawl back out.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow. So when you hear that stat too, the majority, a lot of those cars are coming from the other lenders that had finally repoed a vehicle from someone, and they're all going to the auto auction. So the guy at the buy here pay here a lot, he's got all the cars he needs. There's no
Yeah.
shortage. Yeah, and actually they're spiking it right now. I saw somebody on one of the social media things that follows this space. Repossessions are actually in the going up stage right now, which is putting more of these used cars out there that you end up seeing. But we will have another episode on how to buy a used car, and Wendy will share lots of insight on the things that you need to look for. And it's okay to buy a used car. I bought my last car I have right now was a used car, but it was certified. It was Toyota. It was very reliable. And you know what? I haven't had one issue with that thing in 70,000 miles.
Yeah.
And there's just you got to make good decisions when you go through that process. So look forward to seeing you, having you join us for that in the coming weeks. And thanks for everybody joining us today. We'll go and roll through the credits. When do you want to go take care of that for us today?
Sure, absolutely. And so thanks again for joining us today at Total Access and Impact, powered by Rental Kharma. So check out Rental Kharma at rentalkharma.com. And that is spelled Kharma. And special thanks to the team for supporting us and everything and letting us do this weekly. Next time, again, we're going to be talking about how to buy a home, and also ways to get your home with no down payment, and also just lots of really, really good information about buying a house and finding a new home for you and your family. So we will see you all next time.